Oh, 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 oh. Well, hello and welcome to Raider HQ After Dark. I'm your host, Raider. Can you hear me? Is anybody out there? And tonight we're going to be answering a lot of your questions about the VA rating process. Basically, we're just going to be hitting all the questions. So I hope you're all having a great evening tonight. I'm having a pretty good one, I should say. A lot of good things going on. Yeah. Well, we're working on that. We're working on this. So it's a work in progress. It takes time. The wheels of the VA go round and round very slowly. So let's see here. Yes, that was a Pink Floyd reference. Yep. All right. So let's get off to a flying start and start answering some questions. So, what evidence should a veteran submit to make sure that there's evidence in STRs to ensure that a CMP exam is requested? So, Navy CIC, this is going to be challenging because you have to have somebody with access to, or you should. I'm going to use the term should. You should have somebody with access to VBMS. And you should double check that there's evidence in your STRs of an incident. And that's about the only way that you can go about ensuring that the evidence is there. If you have access to your STR evidence, you can make a copy of it and submit it with your claim. So that way it makes it easy for the VSR to notice it and submit it with the exam request. Let's see here. Are you bored yet of being retired? No, I'm not bored yet of being retired. It's not boring at all. Can I test something out on you guys? Do you mind if I do that tonight? Can I test something that I was going to use? I have to find a way, because God help me, I'm going to start doing TikTok live streams just to try to pull people onto YouTube to watch the videos. But can I run something by you guys and see if you like it? Actually, big time. The reason why VSRs don't request aggravation opinions, just secondary, like sleep apnea, secondary to depression, weight gain, or intermediate state. Why does the rater not catch this? Oftentimes, the aggravation has to be done by the rater. So VSRs are not allowed to actually do aggravation opinions without actually getting a rater's permission to do so. All right. Let's try this. Okay. This is dumb. It's stupid, but this is what I'm kind of doing. So let's turn on the chat so we can be mortified together. But I'm going to be doing this on TikTok, so it's more visual. So they want to make sure that you're have some kind of visual presence on there. It's virtual rater, yes, it is. So I just need to get a better camera. It's not tracking me the best in the world. So yeah. Yeah, you're lab rats now. We're trying. Sugar Daddy, you're sounding much better, Raider. That cough drop, airdrop must have been on target. Yeah. That's cool. So I'm just gonna do this for a little while and see if we kind of like it. If not, if it weirds you guys out, I can turn it off. All right, let's see here. I'm asking for an extended extra month of convalescence. I think that I may be asked to do a CMP exam. How do I prepare again? There also need to look at my surgical incisions. One was debridement. Well, for this one, asking for the extra month of convalescence, that's going to need your doctor. Like, you really need your doctor to weigh in on that, because convalescence is only approved when it's medically necessary. So, yeah. And then if they're going, typically they don't do a new CMP exam unless you specifically ask for it. So just keep that in mind. The surgical incisions, yes, that is something that they will want to do, because the scars are going to be automatic secondaries. And I keep looking at myself, so it's kind of weirding me out. Okay, if the CMP examiner doesn't have your evidence and you provide paper copies and reload evidence to the VA portal, is that the best way to handle the situation? I mean, it's the best way to handle your situation in the moment, but honestly, you're probably going to have to do a higher level review. Just to be honest with you, it's going to be something that you're going to have to do if the rater doesn't catch it and if the rater doesn't, actually act on it. Sorry, it really weirds out whenever I wipe my face. An anime hero. Yeah, and that's what it's kind of doing. I'm kind of God, that's a weird thing for me scratching my head. But it's something for just TikTok. I'm gonna try to do 30-minute of TikTok Q&As and then try to pull people over here. I, for the love of all that is holy, do not want to be a TikToker. I really don't. It does look like it is an AI generated channel at this point in time. Yes, a little bit. So this software is currently, let me look here. What is it? It's Animes. It's called Animes. Yeah. But I need something like this to get people on TikTok to kind of pay attention to me, because if I just have my normal faceless thing, it doesn't really drag people in. And I'm honestly about getting people information. Like, this gimmicky nonsense is not anything that I'm really into, but I need to spread the message. Appreciate all the advice at Raider HQ. We shall see what the Raider says. Here's hoping. Good evening, Doc. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. Yeah, I can't pick my boogers during the live. Yeah, no, there are drawbacks to this. So, that's my dog. I should get one of Luna, like a physical one of Luna. Sitting here with you has been amazing. It would be cool if I had an Arnold avatar. It is scary. I know. I'm just testing it out. It's going to be something for YouTube, or not YouTube. It's what do you call it? TikTok. Yeah, stupid TikTok. I hate TikTok. All higher level reviews get a long form narrative. Yes. Yeah. I probably could use an animation of Luna. It would be funny. This is cool. Glad you're feeling better. Great to catch a live stream again. Yeah. Batman avatar. I am the knight. I am the knight. I just need to get a better camera, one that actually catches my facial features a little bit better. This is closer to kind of what I look like, honestly. A little bit fuller in the face. This guy looks like he hasn't eaten in a while. Okay, so have a claim for rhinitis and sinusitis. I got copies of my DBQs and the examiner used. I already answered this, old vet, before the live stream started. You might have to do a higher level review. The rater can overturn those because that's a legal application of the theories. And just because the VSR screwed up and didn't order the right, they ordered a medical opinion when they shouldn't have. that doesn't hurt the rater from going, okay, I don't need a medical opinion on this. It's 38 CFR 3.320 is what we're going to be granting it under. Probably a dumb question, but if you claim obesity as an intermediate step, should the exam request specifically say X secondary to Y with obesity as the intermediate step? Yes. Yes, it actually should. That's why checking your exam request is highly important, because if it doesn't say, please review for the intermediate step of weight gain caused by so-and-so, the examiner will not review for it. This is one of the reasons why I get so sideways about that 38 CFR 4.10 nonsense, where people seem to think that the examiners are reviewing for things that they're not. The examiner will only review for what they're told to review. So if the exam request doesn't ask them to review for it, they're not going to. So yeah, it has to do that. This is the closest one. I mean, they had furry stuff, but yeah, it's kind of the Ken doll thing. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I gotta text my kids real quick and ask them to please be quiet. Bum, bum, bum. Sorry, guys. All right, there we go. The powers of the Father shall engage now. My wife approved, and I definitely don't hate the AI generated rater. I mean, it is what it is, guys. I'm just going to use it for TikTok. I was just kind of demoing it on here to see kind of what it looked like and how it performed. Whoa, what's going on up there? As a retired RVSR, how would you reconcile a private DBQ that had symptoms at 100% and a CMP at 30%? Narrative has 70% symptoms, and the VA notes 70 to 100% over 7 years. Ashton Martin, I don't really know what you're talking about here. The private DBQ had symptoms at 100% and a CMP at 30%. The rater is going to go with the 30%er. And the reason why is because the 100% DBQ was disqualified. It was disqualified either legitimately or illegitimately. If it's illegitimately disqualified, then you can do a higher level review and say, hey, Dro, could you please do a review on this higher level review or on this DBQ and see if it was in fact sufficient. The only problem with that is going to be how disconnected both of the DBQs are. One says 100, one says 30, and that's always going to be a problem. So the DRO will likely side with the CMP examiner, unfortunately, unless you can find some reason why the CMP examiner was either missing information due to a duty to assist error. Like if you go look at the exam request and it doesn't have all of the, if it doesn't have all of the medical evidence that you wanted to have included with it, then that would be kind of a problem. Anyway. Your eye is doing okay. Yeah, I kind of see that. It's due to my camera. The thing is not really working right. I'm helping a fellow vet file a supplementary claim for MDD. He's rated at 50% presently, but we have strong supplemental new evidence. My question is, would a private TBQ go with it be advisable? Okay, so Lee, if he's already rated at 50%, the only reason, okay, and you got to hear me on this, the only reason why you would do a supplemental claim on that 50% is if the rater at the time did not include all the evidence and there was some kind of error or misinterpretation of the evidence. If the new DBQ, because the new DBQ will be new, you should do an increase on it. That's basically what my suggestion is. Because supplemental claims for service-connected things are to identify insufficient examinations or insufficient ratings. And that has to be based upon the evidence at the time that it was completed. I hope that I am a brunette with brown eyes. Yeah, that is a thing. Yeah, sorry. My bad. See, this is why I didn't want to show anybody anything. It's because now I'm scruffy. You know. No, it's not that. It's animes. What is it? How the hell do you spell it? Hold on. And animes. Something like that. That's what it is. Okay, so the VA changed my character of discharge to honorable for VA purposes under mitigating circumstances, then granted service connection for PTSD. I then applied for my aortic dissection, and a rater flagged my PTSD grant error. I would take that to a higher level review if they still keep pursuing it as a grant error. I would pursue a higher level review. DROs, decision review officers, oh, my eyes do weird things. They have the ability to do what is known as a difference of opinion, and they can disagree with that. Because you had the character of discharge overhauled, the examiner might not, or the rater might not have seen the character of discharge change, and that could be why we're kind of dealing with what we're dealing with here. Hi, rater. I inquired about whether a herniated disc a hyphenated diagnostic code applied to both limbs because it only showed on one limb. It doesn't have to apply on both limbs. It can apply to one. So if they don't have the same diagnosis and the actual, the actual diagnosis is outside of what's in the 38 CFR Part 4, then what'll happen is they'll have to use the hyphenated code. And then the VA opened a claim and then issued a broker request reason equal VSC issue. What does that mean? That means that they missed something. So they opened up a new claim, and then the broker request is when a specific regional office wants a claim. If you had multiple claims open at the time, typically the one regional office has to work all the claims that are currently rated or being rated. So that way the only one rater's touching your rating at any given time. It just has to do with the fact of too many cooks in the kitchen. So it's just the broker request is an RO requesting that it be given to them. It doesn't tell me anything beyond that, to be honest with you, other than they're reviewing for it. It doesn't have to be an animated person for this thing. I could have a animated dog. I could be a cat. I could be whatever. But it's very, I just picked a normal person just so I could kind of look normal. Been in step 5 since December 29th, hoping to hear something back soon, trying to close on a house. Unfortunately, there's no way to know that, it's going to be any faster. There's no way to speed up the process, unfortunately. Proud of you for stepping out of your comfort zone for the greater good of us all. Yeah, this doesn't bother me for some reason. Like, this doesn't actually bother me. It weirds me out, but it doesn't bother me. You can scratch your ass, though. Yes, I can. I have the power. Sorry. So renal DBQ referencing section 2, does the nephrologist have to complete hypertension and cardio, or should have a cardiologist? So when it comes to a DBQ, is this private or is this CMP examiner, because if it's private, it could be any doctor. Those don't require specialists to do them. They just have to be qualifying clinicians. So it's kind of sorry, somebody Rainbow Poopy Butt said something funny. So what happens is they don't have to be a specialist. You don't need a cardiologist. You just need, a doctor that's qualified, or even a nurse practitioner, to be honest with you. I hope that answers your question. I'll try to make Luna an avatar. I'm hoping to at least have an interactive background where the dog comes in, lays down on the couch type thing. I don't know. It's going to be in the future. Does evidence reflecting treatment for a year or more have more probative value than treatment records that are more recent? Okay, so it depends on what you're talking about. Element 1, the more recent the records are, the more probative they are. Service treatment records, those are, okay. So current records within a year to prove element 1, within a year, the more recent they are, the better. To prove element 2 for, like, let's say the in-service stress, or in-service event, or in-service injury, or whatever we want to call it, those things, there's no time limit. As long as they qualified within a period where you were being paid by the military, those are fine. But yeah, for element 1 to prove a diagnosis, you want a current, the more current, the better, I should say. Sorry. I want to say thank you, Raider, for everything you do, brother. With the information I learned from your OSA video, I was able to get rated at 50% first claim, lower back, using intermediate step of obesity. Strong evidence wins. And that's true, guys. Look, this is part of the knowledge matters. Okay. This is a simple problem that if the evidence is true, and the evidence is there. That's true for a lot of veterans. For a lot of veterans, the evidence is there and it's factual. It has to do with learning the administrative process, how to organize your evidence, how to, present your evidence in a way that doesn't detract from your claim. And, that's what the videos are for. So I'm happy that, this worked out for you. Obviously, you did all the legwork. I can't claim any of it. And I'm just happy that you were able to get rated where you wanted to be rated. What are you doing? Okay, sorry. Luna just growled at me or something. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Denied OSA secondary to cervical degeneration, arthritis with IVDS spinal fusion. Spinal stenosis status post, okay, laminectomy, surgery. Okay, I don't know what SYN is. Maybe a laminectomy. Claim at 3, exam. Oh, wow, this is challenging. Went back to step 5, back to 3, back to 5, now 3. ACE offered for exposure 0128. Wow, okay. So a lot of the times with this, I'm just going to be honest with you. If it went back for another ACE exam, then what they're reviewing for is probably a TERA, theory for service connection, for the OSA. Like, no joke. I'm going to be honest with you that the cervical spine as the primary and sleep apnea as the secondary, very rare, very hard to get service connected. So they probably went and they're doing a TERA, toxic exposure risk activity review, and that's probably what's going on with it. Migraine secondary to my cervical strain. I have granted this. Now this I have granted. So this is a thing. It moved from step 4 in 1 day with no CMP exam. Okay, that's terrifying. Even though I submitted a statement in support of the claim. Why would it move from step 4 without an exam. Okay. This has to do sometimes for migraines. This has to do with the words that you chose and whether or not you have an accurate diagnosis of it. You are not qualified to say that you have migraines. You are qualified to say in a lay statement that you have headaches. But VSRs do not, they're encouraged by their QRT, the AQRS, to say that there is no element 1 whenever a veteran says that they have migraines. So if this is pre-diagnosis, then that's why you didn't get the examination. I might, if you have a diagnosis for migraines, I might take that active problems list from whoever gave you the diagnosis, and I might actually submit that with your claim. So that way the rater can see that you have a diagnosis and hopefully catch it and defer it back and say, hey, look, VSR, get them an exam. They qualify for this. This is a secondary exam. It's easy peasy. So that's my advice on that. Okay. My Vietnam vet is at day 90 waiting on a higher level review informal conference. Okay, that's fairly normal. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. That there's only so many DROs, decision review officers. And there are, because of how the VA has been just mucking up all of the rating decisions, a lot of errors, the avoidable errors, a lot of missed opportunities to do the right thing. There are a lot of higher level reviews. So there's not enough DROs to do the reviews in a timely manner. The note in the system shows that the files are being reviewed, still waiting on a call. And how you can kind of tell is if it goes from station 499, if the location of the claim goes from station 499 to whatever the regional office number is, then that's how you know it's been assigned to a regional office. And at that point in time, the call process is probably going to start. Thank you for William. Thank you for the new camera fund. It's terrifying. Should I withdraw a supplemental mental health claim secondary to TBI now that my vet is at 100%? Yes. Yes, you should. Mental health secondary to TBI is not going to typically work out. They can, okay, so TBI has this thing where they can do not an increase, but they can either rate them separately or rate them together. The reason why I support, okay, I back that up. Hold on a second. You cannot withdraw the claim if there have been positive decisions made that got the veteran to 100%. If you withdraw the claim when it's been partially granted, then what happens is you have to basically say, I don't want anything. I don't want anything rated. I withdraw this whole thing. Sometimes you have to let it ride. So unfortunately, that's what you're probably going to have to do for that veteran. I should definitely add cat ears. Are you serious? Cat ears? Okay. I don't know. You guys are weird. Tell us how to check the exam request. Pardon me. So you would have to go to a VSO with VBMS access. Now, keep in mind, guys, in the future, this handsome face right here will have VBMS access in the future whenever the accreditation goes through. So I would be somebody that in the future I could check on this. So, but you have to go to somebody with a VSO or an accredited agent or somebody who has the ability to look at your, your VBMS and then look at the exam request to see what was on it. So in the future, I will be an option for that. So hopefully, and then you'll get to see my real face and then you'll be disappointed. And then we can go from there. We can all be sad together. I want to submit a renal claim and I want to know the avenue nephrologist is willing to complete DBQ, but that section 2 is a concern for me, as it says if the veteran has those, which is yes for both. You don't have to have the nephrologist fill those out. You can have a different doctor fill those out. As long as they sign it and as long as they complete it and it's substantially complete, then it's fine. Also, I just had 100% PNT. What things should I do first? DEERS is by appointment only, so got an appointment to get a new ID, but that's all I know. Sometimes you can apply for CHAMP VA. If you have issues with insurance, you can get CHAMP VA for your family. Get signed up for it. Also, if you have student loans, those will get resolved pretty much on their own. So everything's mostly on rails. Wash engineer. Thanks for all your help, Raider. I have saved playlist and nope. Okay, I have your videos. Wow. Okay, thank you. If you're new here, go ahead and take a few weeks and watch all Raiders videos. You will learn so much. Thank you for that. I mean that. I honestly, and can I take a minute here and just tell you something? The Raiders don't look around to see what the veteran community thinks is true. And it wasn't until I started my retirement thought process where I was thinking about retiring that I actually went onto YouTube and started looking around to see, okay, well, what does this look like? You know? And I was also frustrated by the lack of knowledge by the staff. So I started creating videos for staff members. But then I noticed that there is a huge disconnect with what the veteran community thinks is the process and what the process really is. And I have to tell you, it's truly shocking because you might think that the Raiders that work at the VA or the VA staff members, that they're making choices. Like, I didn't know that case law mattered to people until I came onto YouTube. Because I'm like, oh no, I don't care about case law. Like, nobody cares about case law whenever they're working claims. Like, oh, that's something that the VA will let us know about. This notion that people thought that we cared about case law and we were just choosing to ignore it, it's so weird to me. So I had this like realization moment, this aha moment that I'm like, oh my gosh, people don't understand how the process works worse than the staff members. So that's why I kind of pivoted to putting out my videos, but I'm happy that people are learning from them. And a lot of it is just fine-tuning minor adjustments. And if you make those fine-tuned minor adjustments to your claims, a lot of the times you can go from being denied over and over again to being granted. That's why I put out that video on staff members typically have higher ratings because they know the process. I wasn't doing that. I didn't do that video because I was trying to brag, or I wasn't doing that video because I wanted to show that we're ginning it up. You know, we're gaming the system. No, we just kind of understand what the process looks like. And I'm happy to be able to share that with each and every one of you, because I think that by sharing it with each and every one of you, you have a higher opportunity to get a positive outcome. So, and I'm chilling. I'm happy for you. I hope it was a great outcome, or it's going to be. But that's the kind of weird thing, guys. And trust me, I'm catching a lot of heat from some of these weirdos at these claim companies and whatnot that are like, you shut your mouth, you know, because why, you know, I'm like, here's it for free. Here you go. Here's for free. And other people are like, I could pay, you know, I could charge $2,500 for what you just did, you know, type thing. And I'm not very popular in a lot of communities, it would seem. I'm going in for 4 bypass tomorrow for oh shit. So this question, if the hospitalization lasts for over 21 days, you can get convalescence for that. If they put you on bed rest for a certain number of weeks or months, then yes, you could get convalescence for that. Now, the bypass, you will be able to get the scar. So the scar is something for the bypass that you'll be able to get service connected. Probably not right away, because scars have to have a healing time to see if they're painful or not after the healing is resolved. And yeah, I mean, I hope all comes out well. That's got to be terrifying, Bob, and I'm sorry for that. I wish you well, and I wish you a speedy recovery. And it's going to be challenging. I used to work in the medical field, and so I'd take chest X-rays on, on individuals with heart conditions after they had surgery. Sometimes if they had to put a mesh in, like the superior vena cava meshes and whatnot, I'd have to take a image of it to make sure it was in the right spot and stuff. But yeah, kind of weird. Hope you get to feeling better, man. Hi, Raider. Logical. Okay. Number 1, depression with anxiety secondary to chronic pain. Very logical, very often granted. The most granted secondary process with the intermediate step. So in this kind of example, chronic pain is an intermediate step. So you have depression and anxiety secondary to chronic pain, and your arthritis and neuropathy cause the chronic pain. That's a solid secondary. Headache and neurogenic bladder and ventricular arrhythmias secondary to depression and anxiety. Okay. Headaches can cause, anxiety can cause headaches. There is a causal potential relationship there, because if you have a panic attack and you get into fight or flight, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your blood vessels constrict, dilate. Certain ones dilate, certain ones constrict. It's that there's a biophysiological connection between headaches and potentially anxiety attacks. Also potentially due to medications. Now, neurogenic bladder due to depression and anxiety would be limited to medications. You cannot be so depressed that you get a neurological condition that causes your bladder to have issues. It's not biologically it'd be a hard sell. You'd have to have a lot of actual medical evidence to support that. Same thing with ventricular arrhythmias. Those are going to be hard, because the way that the examiners do it is they go, okay, is there a more likely cause to this? Is it age? Is it his diet? Is it so-and-so? And examiners are fine with taking the off-ramp of, no, it's more likely this thing over here. So I'd say that headaches has a shot secondary to anxiety, but the others are going to be a very, very challenging thing. So I hope that said my anxiety and PTSD linked to anxiety, even if my chart showed my BP went up. Luck of the draw. Yeah, it can be the luck of the draw, unfortunately. And that's another thing. There's no consistency among the examiners. You honestly don't have any kind of, consistent, I can set my clock by it type scenario with the examiners. Brian, how you doing, Brian? I like that outfit, Brian. That's very nice. If there is a diagnosis of PTSD in my STRs, but the notes from therapy state that I don't meet full criteria, will it be denied when I submit a BDD? When was your diagnosis? If your diagnosis of PTSD was within the last year, it should be considered. If you have any mental health condition upon BDD, it's going to get granted. All you need for a BDD is a diagnosis. you need to claim everything, obviously. Like, you have to claim everything that you have wrong with you for your BDD. But if you have any kind of mental health, it'll be granted, because the DBQ counts as element 1, element 2, and element 3 for the BDD process. I'm chilling. Supplemental claim submitted 2/16. Exams done 3/3. Examiner said I did a really good job with submitting my VA claim. VA said it's ready for decision, assigned to an RO. Is this a good sign? Your thoughts? It can be, because you got an exam. Okay. The examiner said that you put together your claim. Not really their call, so that doesn't bode well or bad, to be honest with you. If it's ready for decision, then that means it's going before the rater. So we still have that adjudication that's going to happen. And that can be good or bad. We won't know. The thing that I want you to do, though, is every once in a while check va.gov for your disability ratings, because that will update before you ever get anything in the mail. So if you go to va.gov and go to your disability list and just check what your disabilities are, it'll tell you what is granted and denied like a week or two before you receive it in the mail. But I'm really hoping for you. I'm chilling. I think you got this. I'm rooting for you. I had a CMP exam for shin splints and right ankle secondary to left. Examiner diagnosed shin splints and patellofemoral pain syndrome and right ankle tendonitis. Examiner said he would look up medical literature for his opinion. Is that good? It's not good or bad. It's normal. You have to understand that sometimes the doctors, they're not like your treating doctor. They have to come up with a causal relationship, and they don't have those in their back pocket. So looking things like that up is very normal. I'd be more concerned if they didn't look anything up, because then they're just going by bias. And you don't want them to be going by bias, to be honest with you. Oh my gosh. I am the VA AI bot overlord. Can you make a clear and easy to understand distinction between a procedural error and a duty to assist error, and a clear and unmistakable error? Okay, I can do that. A procedural error, now this is going to be based upon my opinion. Okay, this isn't something that you can take before a court of law and go, I cite Rater HQ for this and have it be true. A procedural error is one, in my opinion, that doesn't affect the outcome, but can hinder or delay your claim. So like, let's say that you did a supplemental claim, and let's say your POA signed the form. A procedural error would be if it got rated before then, or let's say that they missed a favorable finding on denying your claim. Missing a favorable finding is a procedural error that doesn't change the outcome of the claim, but the rater will have to, if caught, will have to open up a EP 930, redo the rating decision, and include the missed favorable finding, which doesn't change the outcome. Now, a duty to assist error is something that could potentially change the outcome, but there's no clear and unmistakable determination as to what the outcome would be. So a good example of that is they were denied you, but they forgot to get a theory for service connection that you qualified for. Like, let's say that you had migraines and you had TERA, but they never got you a TERA medical opinion. They just denied you for direct service connection. That would be a duty to assist error. Now, even if you took it to a higher level review, the only thing that the DRO can do is order you a medical opinion or examination and medical opinion, however it needs to work out. But the medical opinion will decide the outcome of that claim. So that's a duty to assist error, because VSRs and raters have a duty to assist to get you examinations or to get records. Like, let's say that you asked for us to get records and we never got it, and we went through the exam process without getting those records. Well, we denied you prematurely, or even we granted you prematurely in some instances, without having the full extent of the records. So that's a duty to assist error. Now, a clear and unmistakable error is one in which This is like you filing a grievance with the union, saying that the VA itself did not follow one of its own practices. And had they followed those practices, there would be a clear and unmistakable different outcome, which is favorable to the veteran. So a clear and unmistakable error would be if the examiner said that the condition was at least as likely as not service-connected, and the rater misread that and denied you, that would be a clear and unmistakable error because the rater didn't follow policy or procedure to grant based upon the evidence or take the action based upon the evidence. So that is my definition of the differences between the three. You can't hold me to them. They're not legally binding in any way, shape, or form, but those are the best examples. Clear and unmistakable. You can have something that's clear and unmistakable, but it has to, at the end of the day, be an error that would have changed the outcome of your rating. Denial to grant, or let's say they underrated you and you should have been, they rated you at 10%, but you should have been 40% based upon the evidence. That's a clear and unmistakable error if the evidence was of record at the time of the rating decision. One of the most common clear and unmistakable errors that happen is when veterans trickle in evidence, and the veteran will trickle in something that's very, very probative to prove or disprove a matter at issue, and they trickle it in after the examination has happened and the rater doesn't catch it, but it technically was of record before the rater actually adjudicated the claim, actually rated it. That's one of the most common clear and unmistakable errors, to be quite honest with you. I'm sorry, I've spent a lot of I do have a Facebook group. Yes. Sorry that was so long and drawn out, but I think that's a very powerful distinction between the duty to assist, the clear and unmistakable error, and a procedural error. George, can one medical opinion connect multiple theories and disabilities to service-connected PTSD, or should there be a medical opinion for each one? Or should there be a medical opinion for each one? Okay. Can a medical opinion connect multiple theories and disabilities to PTSD? Okay. Yes. So there should be a medical opinion for each disability that is secondary to the PTSD. Now, the problem, and this is a huge problem, guys. This is a huge problem, especially with private DBQs. You can only have something service-connected one way. You cannot have something direct and secondary at the exact same time. When you do that, that creates conflicting medical evidence that has to be clarified. So it behooves you to not have multiple theories for things. Now you can propose them, but the goal is to have the examiner determine one single theory. Like it has to be just one. It's direct, it's secondary, it's TERA, it's whatever. It's presumptive. Sometimes you can have situations where multiple theories technically apply. There is a 38 CFR entry that says that the VA has to use the most advantageous application of the theory. So if it's both true that you could have been service connected directly and presumptively for TERA, because the TERA happened in service, then based upon effective date, one of those is more advantageous than the other. If you have, if we had both of those true, then what the rater should do is they should look and say, okay, when was the veteran diagnosed with the condition? Was it before 8/10/2022? If it was, then what happens is we would grant you for under the TERA theory, because that could get you 1 year earlier effective date, which is bit more beneficial to you. So it's something that, yeah, I hope that answered your question, George. I appreciate it. Why? Look, man, I didn't pick this. It was the closest one. It was either that or I was going to be a furry panda on here. I mean, I picked it. And you guys can tease me all you want. Question, Rater, Do you file for PTSD or Nexus with symptoms like anxiety and let CMP decide the PTSD? Yes. This is very, very, very true. I will go with anxiety and depression. I always claim symptoms. Now, I'm only saying this for myself, okay? Only for myself. But if I'll claim depression, I'll claim anxiety, and then let the examiner determine what it is. Because remember, mental health, the diagnosis doesn't matter. They could diagnose you with adjustment disorder, and it's all rated based upon the symptoms. As long as a lot of people get hung up on the diagnosis. I don't understand why, because it doesn't affect the outcome of the rating decision. So if you claim the symptoms, you're almost always guaranteed to get an exam if you satisfy the other elements in order to get the examination. But if you claim PTSD, you're not qualified to say you've got PTSD. You're a lay person, right? Lay people can say that they have anxiety. Lay people can say that they have depression, but lay people cannot say that they have PTSD. So yeah, I would go with the symptoms. That's my final answer on the topic. 100% for MS, sent in 2680 for aid and attendance. VA ordered 5 exams, ignored them all, told me I didn't qualify because my highest single rating was 60%. They didn't use the combined exception. Okay. Brian, this has to do with the old school. You got an old school rater. Historically, you had to have a single 100% in order to get aid and attendance. This is what we call retroactive interference, where the old information, or retrograde interference? Yeah, I don't know. Where the old way of doing something is preventing them from applying the current regulations. The current regulations say that you just have to have 100%. You don't even have to have 100%, but I might do a higher level review on this, to be quite honest with you, and then actually go in. Sorry. You might want to go in and actually have a DRO review it, because they can have a difference of opinion. If you've got MS, brother, I would have granted it for you. Just showing that you had MS, that would be enough for me. Like, MS is a disease that there's no mystery on that. That causes you to have issues with your activities for daily living. I would have granted that in a heartbeat. And it upsets me that somebody decided to play games with this. So yeah, I would probably do a higher level review if I were you. Just add some shades. Well, sorry, chillin'. Nice. Hello, Raider. I have 40% each knee for patellofemoral pain syndrome and Velcro braces from the VA. I don't use them often, but when I do, it catches onto my athletic clothes. Should I request a clothing allowance? Does this reopen the claim? Okay, so clothing allowance is a non-rating claim. So no, that would not open up the rest of your conditions to because there's a clothing allowance form, and it's not a compensation form. It's just it's a different form. Now, the problem is that you have to have, your braces have to damage your clothing. So they used to have those metal braces that would tear into your clothing and rip them up. That's what they're going to be looking for, to be quite honest with you. A rater's going to, well, I think an authorizer actually determines this one. I haven't ever done that, so I'm going to say an authorizer does it for clothing allowance. But you might want to, yeah, you can try it. The worst they can say is no. It won't interfere with your other conditions. Also ignored the higher ratings from the new exams. They ordered A and A. Yeah, I don't think you got a Brian, I'm going to be generous here and say that you did not get a competent rater, unfortunately. And I do apologize for that. It's not fair. It's not right. But any rater worth their salt would have looked at this and went, okay, I got this. I'm going to do the right thing and grant this. MS ain't getting any better. Okay. So it's either, even if it's, as long as we had a confirmed diagnosis, I would have granted. It upsets me. One rated under mitigating circumstances, the second rated under insanity, which I never claim. VA is proposal to sever. Dwayne, what? That one came out of left field a little bit for me here. I need some more context on that, Dwayne. I would love to have a private conversation with you. Is that possible? You know what? Honestly, at this point in time, anything is possible. I mean, I do. If you have a really bad situation, I might talk with you. I mean, I'm not restrained from doing it. So, I mean, like, but I will be. I will be doing. I'm trying for the accreditation. So once I become accredited, then yeah, I mean, totally. But if it's beforehand, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I try not to, just because I don't want to. I don't want to open a door I can't close. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but you think I will do well on TikTok with this virtual raider? I mean, I don't know. I'm just giving it a shot tonight. I just thought sometimes you guys want to see some stuff. So maybe just see me looking over at my dog, looking over here, looking up there. I don't know. Lawyer cat. Wow. Okay. Raider, which program are you using for the talking avatar? I'm using Animaze. 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 That's what I'm using. It just sucks because my hands aren't showing up. If I had a better camera, you could see me actually moving everything in real time. So once I get a better camera, it'll be a little bit better and my eyes won't look crazy weird. So, okay, let's get in here. I was hospitalized and 100%. Then I got out of the hospital, saw I had the hospitalization claim. It went away after half a year, but my VSO didn't even know about how those worked. Oh, you're talking about 38 CFR 4.29 and 38 CFR 4.30. Those are something that you want to just look for that. The other thing, now this is important. Sometimes if you have like a surgical joint, like a musculoskeletal thing that you're hospitalized for, like a total replacement, actually, let's not include total joint replacements. Let's just say hospitalizations. The VA is not prompted to rate your residuals. They'll only do that. Like if you claim convalescence, they'll just rate you for the convalescence. They will not re-review your injury or your service-connected disability afterwards, typically. So you have to be careful with that. If that's something that where you now have quite a bit of symptoms that would put you into a higher evaluation, then you want to make sure that you do an increase for it if you think that that's warranted. However, if you have something that's pretty much maxed out, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't retouch it at all. So just my opinion, though. Hyperactive sloth, I'm going to see about it. We'll see if we can do it. We'll have fun with this. If MST PTSD is service connected, but I ended up with a TBI due to a car accident, I've already answered this. The TBI. Okay, so the question that I have is, if you ended up with TBI due to a car accident, making PTSD symptoms worse, could we add the TBI post-concussion syndrome be added to the claim? Yeah, we could. Yes. I didn't answer this one beforehand. I just had a very similar question beforehand. Yes, technically you can if the car accident happened in service. See, TBI and PTSD are both conditions that require you, they can only be granted due to typically direct service connection. TBI technically can do direct and secondary because Like you could fall down and hit your head, like your service-connected knees could buckle and you could fall down and hit your head and get a TBI. So technically TBI can be more than one thing, but PTSD is one. Oh, thank you, Robert. Hey guys, if you know of anybody, any veterans, any veteran groups, could you spread the word about the channel? I mean, like, I'm just noticing that there is some hot garbage that is growing faster than me, which I guess they're better presenters or something like that. I don't know. I don't do YouTube very well, but I really would like the channel to grow, because if you've had a positive benefit from this channel, I'd like to share the wealth. So that way we can, I don't know, reclaim the veteran, sorry, she's snoring. So we can reclaim, adequate ratings. I don't know how to say it, but I'd like the channel to grow, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let me go here. Craig, what impact would moving have while I have claims remanded from BVA being worked? I will have attended all scheduled CMP exams except one not scheduled QTC 200 miles from exam. Okay, so what can happen here is you'll get scheduled for the home of record unless you update them. I might update the VA and say, hey, look, for any future exams, could you please do it from this home of record, please? And they might need to cancel the exam, and they might need to reorder the exam from the new home of record. It can be a pain in the ass. Evening Raider, when filing secondary claims, ankles primary, plantar fasciitis secondary, and the ankles primary, knee secondary, do you need a Nexus letter, or will the CMP? The CMP examiner technically has the ability to do a medical opinion for all of those. I'll just be honest with you in that kind of association for secondary is rarely granted by examiners. So a private DBQ might be beneficial, just to be honest with you. But it depends on the luck of the draw, who you get. Sometimes examiners can be very favorable towards the veteran. Sometimes they can be very biased against the veteran. Sometimes your private DBQ can be accepted at face value. Sometimes your private DBQ is seen as being some kind of fraud. Hold on a second. Sorry, my kids came in. All right. So when we're doing this, okay, so when we're doing this, all right, I think I answered that one. Okay, let's move on down here. Knowledge is power. I agree. Should I submit blue button files as evidence? You don't need to, Roman. You don't need to, because when the VA the VA will pull those records automatically whenever they're assessing whether or not they should get you a CMP exam. Those are part of your actual. Sorry, I know the facial features. I was yelling at them, but they're just doing it to mess with me because they saw my avatar on here and they're being jerk faces. But the blue button report, those are VA files. Part of the duty to assist, automatically your VA medical records get pulled into your claim. So you don't need to submit those. The only thing that I might actually submit is if you have community care documents. Those things are not automatically pulled in. So if you have any community care, make sure that you get those in. Yeah, Luna does need an avatar. I need something behind me. Okay. Got a denial decision from February 24, stuck in process gathering information for an EP 041, which tells me that you have multiple supplemental claims open right now. As a result of a higher level review from May 2025 with a duty to assist error, are the two related? They can be related, but EP041s are weird. The only time that they ever assign, like it's supposed to be an end product. EP means end product. It's like the type of claim that you have. The only time that they assign a 1 or a 2 after it is if you have one already established. I don't know if the two are related. There's another supplemental claim there, or else they would have never have assigned the 041 portion of it. I hope that helps, though. Thank you for your donations, by the way, guys. By the way, thank you so much. I don't say that enough. Is IBS, obesity, OSA a reasonable connection? I have never honest to God, ever seen that one. Not once. Not once have I ever seen that successfully ever adjudicated. It would be very challenging because IBS typically causes you to evacuate your digestive system for the most part. So obesity due to that would be very, like, obesity has to do with abnormal caloric intake. So you intake more calories, which IBS makes that more challenging. And then you have to not work off those calories. So you have to have more than just IBS on board, because IBS doesn't explain why you're not exercising or burning off the calories or controlling your diet. So it's very challenging. Oh, thank you for your knowledge. I dress my evidence for OSA and migraines, and now I'm at 100% total and permanent. Woohoo! Let me see if I can get the arms up there. Nope. Yep, I got an arm up there. Okay, yeah. I raised my arms up. So that's awesome. Guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but how many success stories are there out there? And I'm not tooting my own horn. You guys did all the work on this. You guys did all the work. But you have to be like, how does it feel to get actual results? Like, no joke. How does that feel? And it's not wizardry. You're not a wizard, Harry. Like, we're not doing that today. But how does it feel to have that particular set of circumstances? Congratulations. Because you got accurately rated. Here's another one. Got my notification yesterday, 100% PNT. Thank you for all the education. Guys, it works. I mean, I'm doing better than some comms out there, some claims companies. I'm just providing YouTube videos, and you guys are knocking it out of the park, and I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm happy for each and every one of you. I'm happy for you. I hope that we all get to celebrate in this. Spread the word. Like, yes, there are some niche things that I'll need to do more videos about. But the heavy lifting videos, I've already put out most of them, right? To help you get the foundational stuff. Now, it all depends on your evidence too. I can't make miracles happen. The evidence can't make miracles happen. If it's not there, it's not there, right? But if it is there, if the evidence is there, you can do this. And I mean it. Like, I feel so happy for each of you. Wish you could see my real face, but no. I do. I got really sick. Whenever I get my nerves kind of, I'm a hot mess of everything. So I've got a lot of illnesses, and sometimes they just wear me down, guys, and it just happens to the best of us. But yeah. Included with my OSA was a personal statement, a lay statement, and 3 medical journals with a VA doctor statement. See, that is nice. I like that. Man, you guys did so well. It's something for TikTok that I'm doing, because look, I can't. This right here, TikTok will not like this. Okay. TikTok will not appreciate this right here. So I have to do something like this, or else nobody will pay any attention to me on YouTube or on TikTok. I hate to go to TikTok, but you can have like thousands of people watching you know, like they just tune in, right? And it's not like answering questions is great. Okay, why are there so many errors? Great question. Awesome question. Fantastic question. I'm going to drink some coffee while I'm sitting here contemplating how to say that without swearing. Okay. So the reason why there are so many errors has to do with sometimes the environment of the office, the lack of education and training, the fact that there's a knowledge vacuum because a lot of the good people are leaving because they don't like the shenanigans. And that's it most of the time. There's other things in there like Philadelphia. Sorry, Charlton. I apologize for bringing it up again. But Philadelphia, where the guy was hand jamming thousands of claims and a claim every 4 minutes, which is insanity. They're doing that to make their regional office higher up on the leaderboard for production. And that can cause errors. So there's a lot of different factors. Thank you for all that you do, Raider. Ice, baby, vanilla. Sorry. I know. It's not. It's a work in progress. So on My Healthy Vet, if you go to My Healthy Vet, there's a section where you can actually print out on a PDF form all of your VA records. So that's what I was referencing with the blue button report. Let's see here. I should have sunglasses and a hoodie. I know it's because of the camera that I have. So like the eye movement gets really weird. So I'm not opening my eyes too crazy, but it does things. But honestly, guys, there's one thing I want to talk about real quick. So I will be announcing, I am partnering with a a medical provider to basically be on monthly retainer to help them like with a strength-based approach to making sure that their private DBQs and medical opinions are as accurately as possible, to make sure that they're following all the rules and regulations. So that way they can be the doctor and I can be the person that's reviewing all the laws and rules and regulations. I'll be announcing them hopefully soon once we finalize the back end stuff. And once I do that, I'll let you guys know. They primarily deal with mental health stuff. So this is mostly a mental health provider, but we'll be able to kind of talk about that. Now, up front, I don't get, we haven't really talked it out completely, but I won't be getting a referral. I won't be getting any money for referring you to them. So just keep that in mind. There's no kind of incentive to use them other than they've received my training. I don't know if you guys saw my video today about PTSD, but there are quite a few, most private DBQs that or private medical opinions that report on PTSD are not sufficient for rating purposes because they don't understand how it's rated. So I'm going to be teaching that to as many providers that want to listen. I could teach it to you guys, but they don't want to even listen to me. So hopefully if you guys just spend your money wisely, especially for PTSD. I would never pay unless somebody has training for it. I wouldn't pay anybody to do a PTSD medical opinion for me because it would be thrown in the trash instantly. It would never be used. The money would be wasted. Can a claim be rated without STRs? And no, they cannot. That would fly nowhere. That would go straight to quality review. Like, no, any rater would just kick that back going, hey, development, you need to get those STRs. Now, how do you become a VSO? I don't know. You got to go to them, sometimes volunteer for them, get a job for them, and then they put you through the certification process. One last thing on that provider, I will be doing a HIPAA I will be following HIPAA compliance, and then I will be doing quality review checks on their DBQs. So that's going to be another layer. It's not like I'm just, you know how the affiliate programs are like, hey, look, if you want to use so-and-so, go use so-and-so. No, this is somebody that I'm actively working with and reviewing their work to make sure, not that their work is bad or anything like that, but just to make sure that that new BI program doesn't ding them in any way, shape, or form. But just for the upfront clarity sake, I wanted to just put that out there. I'm going to be announcing them soon, but we will see. If you use VA Quick Submit, how does it get directed to the proper regional office for action? If you use Quick Submit, what happens is you end up, if you're just submitting a claim, then it creates a claim and then the claim gets sent to an RO. Quick Submit uploads to your overall file. When your file is assigned to a regional office, that regional office has your file. When you submit something to your file, it just gets submitted to the file. So there's no need to, like, it gets scanned in and then just uploaded to your file based upon your social. Yeah. If you're filing a presumptive for rhinitis and sinusitis, do you need a DBQ from a doctor? Yes, you do. Also, I had melanoma cut out of me twice, which falls under presumption, but that was back in 2013, 2014. Okay, so no, Matt, to answer your question, the reason why you need a DBQ is you need the doctor to review how severe your condition is. If you got granted without a DBQ, you'd be granted at 0% or whatever percent your medical records show that you have. So if you had evidence of, say, polyps in your nose for rhinitis, then you could be granted at 30%. A rater wouldn't do that because they'd want to know if you still had polyps. But that's why the reason for the DBQ. DBQs are to evaluate how severely disabled you are. Medical opinions are to determine service connection. Because your condition's presumptive, you don't require that medical opinion. You still require the DBQ, though. Okay. Now, the melanoma, what would happen with melanoma is that if we could prove that you had melanoma, then the VA would grant you for scars related to your melanoma. That's how that would work. Kimberly, how you know what regional office? You would have to go to like a VSO, and the VSO could look in the claims tab under claim notes, and they could see what regional office it's currently assigned to. It's not that challenging for them to figure it out. And yes, it would still fall under presumptive. Solid evidence key claim for me was 70% mental health, 60% for system antiviral for more than 12 months, migraines at 50%. Oh, wow. Facts. I saw several of your videos to educate myself before resubmitting my claim, previous denied claims. Yeah. And I mean, it's going to turn out how it turns out. Sometimes you get, questionable raters and VSRs, and they can, there's a lot of moving parts with a claim. That's why whenever you kind of it's like pushing a boat out into water, like you can't really direct it after you launch it. The same is true with your claim. You want to prepare, you kind of want to push your claim in the absolute rightest direction that you can by organizing your evidence the best way you can, because once you release it, there's very little you can do to alter the trajectory of your claim. Yeah, I heard that about VA employees. Most of them are the best to ask about navigating the VA labyrinth. I'm going to disagree with this. Okay. I'm not being an elitist here. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying like maybe 15 to 30% of the staff members have a functional handle on their job. There are people that think they know what their job is. They think they know how to do their job. But based upon the quality review system, the way it is, people can do the wrong thing for like a year without noticing that they're even doing the wrong thing, because the quality review system it doesn't have a feedback loop that is very frequent in identifying when somebody's doing the wrong thing. There could be 1,000 claims that were jacked up based upon one single employee not doing the right thing. And that won't get caught sometimes for a year or two. That's why we laugh and said the people with 100% quality are the worst people in the entire regional office typically. Horrible. It's atrocious. VSO thinks 100% should be granted for the most recent submittal for increase to PTSD, MST. I'm going to tell you right now that 100% for mental health is nearly impossible to get unless you have psychosis of some kind or something along those lines. Or unless your symptoms mirror one of those higher level symptoms. I would almost wait until, I mean, the hospitalizations and whatnot, those are tragic, and I feel bad about that. They would need to ask the rater for a manual increase for the to 100% based upon that ancillary evidence. But it is very, 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 very hard unless you've got schizophrenia, untreated raging schizophrenia. It's going to be challenging to get you to 100%. Now, I do know of people who get 100% for having panic attacks that cause time stuttering. Let me go down here and answer some more questions. Tomcat. Hi, Raider. Just got approved for 2 claims secondary to tinnitus, anxiety, and migraines in 6 weeks. They were fully developed claims. Is that normal or to be approved so quickly? It's actually not. It's a little quick. So for you, that would be the exception, I would say. Sometimes it's it takes a lot longer. I don't think we're at the 6 weeks for a claim across the board yet, to be quite honest with you. That's true, actually. I've seen that. Let me scroll down here. And that's true, Doc. Doc is not lying. Scars are typically 0% unless, depending on size, like they have to be big. They have to be huge in order to get, or they have to have some kind of, what do you call it? They have to have some kind of like underlying skin tissue damage or painful. Those are some of the ways. Unstable wound is another way that you can get above a 0% for a scar type thing. Yeah. Does a statement in support matter if you are trying to use obesity to connect a secondary claim to another claim? Yes. Actually, I'm going to say yes. And it's typically due to the part that you want to focus your statement in support of claim is how does the service-connected condition cause you to gain weight? That portion of the equation is the one that you need to give feedback on because they're not mind readers. Typically, examiners will go, there's no way that your PTSD could have caused you to gain weight. Well, if you elaborate and say, okay, well, my PTSD caused me to emotionally eat. It caused me to socially isolate. I wasn't able to exercise. My caloric intake ballooned up because of my symptoms of anxiety and depression. And my overall, I became more sedentary because of my anxiety disorder. So those are some of the ways, like you have to explain it. I think I did a video on that where I kind of explain it. No, Star, dizziness is not considered a presumptive for Gulf War. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Scrolling down. Okay. Recently had bilateral foot reconstructive surgery while on active duty. MEPS noted asymptomatic mild. How should I file for this for a BDD? Is it still 50%? I assume that you're talking about, is this for plantar fasciitis or pes planus? If it's pes planus, what they'll probably do It could be 50% because if it's asymptomatic, it would be 0 minus 50. That's the way that aggravation works, because it'll be considered an aggravation under 38 CFR 3.306. That's how it'll be rated. So yeah, no Pastor Dougie rants. So I would just file this. If you're in the BDD section, don't worry about this. It'll come out in the wash. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Do raters ever try to organize a claim by ordering new DBQs? My claim now has 4 new DBQs, which were created and then I guess returned each day. Okay, so what can happen with this is if there's conflicting evidence in the first DBQ or medical opinion, then what happens is the rater has to reconcile that conflicting evidence, and they have to do so until it gets reconciled. What can happen is sometimes the examiners can be jackasses and refuse to reconcile the information. So the rater will send it back and defer it back and say, hey, look, I need you to fix so-and-so. And then what'll happen is the examiner will go, I'm not fixing it. So then it gets given back to the VSR. Then the VSR goes back to the rater and says, hey, look, they don't want to fix it. And then they send it back again and say, well, I don't care what you want. You will fix this. And I swear if you don't, I'm going to send it to, MDEO, who are the go-between. They're the ones that they're the organization that kind of is the middleman. I'll go to MDEO and I'm just going to get you in trouble. So it can be fairly normal that the mechanism is to resolve conflicting evidence. So if that hasn't been done, they'll keep doing it until it gets resolved, because they cannot rate something that has conflicting medical evidence, or else they're going to get an error. Furry panda, please. Okay, we'll see. We will see. I mean, I could do one, but I don't know. I'm just scrolling down here for questions. My employers have signed Form 4192. I am still in step 3. 4192s for TDIU, for total disability, individual unemployability. They're kind of a procedural thing. They don't actually decide anything. I mean, a lot of the times the raters will decide the claim without a 4192. So it just means that the process is going forward. Now, what typically happens with TDIU is the claims get a increase exam. So everything that you put on the form gets an increase exam with an economic impact assessment for the level of functioning. Carl, hey Raider, I got 10% for knee pain. My new MRI shows a protruding meniscus and spiral tear. Should I file a supplemental claim for an increase since my original claim was just decided? So the thing, okay, this is going to come back to understanding how things are rated. Now, your knee, 10% for pain. That's the minimum. Pain is minimum 10%. Limited range of motion, like there's like 6 different ways that the knee can be rated. I would wait to see if your meniscal tear, you could potentially get instability for meniscal tear. So under 52, 57, you could potentially get 10% for that, or 20% if you require a knee brace. You could also, if you had semilunar cartilage, 52, 58, 52, 59, potentially, depending on what that looks like. But you would need a lot of medical evidence to support it, to be quite honest with you. I would wait a little bit and just kind of see how your evidence starts, because yeah, does it have to go? Yeah, sorry guys. But this is just going to be for TikTok, to be honest with you. I'm just playing around with it today to see how it works. So I would wait to see how, because you've only just had a new MRI. So we'll kind of have to see what it looks like after that. I had a psychologist at the VA diagnosed me with adjustment disorder when I signed up for VA healthcare. Is that something I can use to make a claim for depression, anxiety attributed to PTSD? It's all going to get lumped into the same thing. So it's all going to, if you have PTSD, then you have PTSD. That's how severe it is will depend on your symptoms. How does one become a rater? You go into va.gov or what? No, it's USA Jobs. You go into USA Jobs and you apply for it. Sometimes you got to be a VSR first. After the hiring freeze stops, then we're going to, then you'll probably see more people getting hired. It was really bizarre. Like how I got into it was kind of weird. Best job ever, though. Carl again. Sorry. Hold on. Makes me look like the fifth member of the Backstreet Boys, huh? Okay. I see how you are. You got jokes. We got jokes. Okay. Roman, I already answered that question like an hour ago. CMP examiner for my knee was extremely dismissive during the exam, did not ask me any questions about the injury. It happened at Ranger School. I am extremely irritated about that. How they feel about it isn't necessarily as important as what they put. The goal is to get it service connected. If it's service connected, once service connected, then we can hone in on symptoms, and that's going to be just a proving it type thing. But making sure that you have evidence to satisfy element 1, that you have a current diagnosis, and element 2, that there was in-service injury, that's going to be something that I should add a touch of gray to my hair. But yeah, I get the irritation. I do. It's very challenging, but once we get it service connected, then it can only go up from there, even if it's 0%. This is funny. I feel more at ease with your animated avatar as you share information. Just don't do a max headroom buzz. I won't. It's kind of funny. Yeah. Service connected for insomnia. Examiner listed anxiety symptoms on my DBQ after RAD, released from active duty, diagnosed with anxiety. Can the DBQ showing anxiety symptoms be used as evidence for filing an increase? Yes, it can. Yes, that is true. Hi, Raider. I'm filing for IBS increase, GERD and hemorrhoids secondary to IBS, and low back strain aggravated by IBS. That one's going to be tough. I have favorable findings for GERD and lower back strain. Will filing these claims at the same time slow down processing? No, it won't slow down processing. I'm going to tell you, that's a tough sell for the low back strain caused by IBS. Yeah. Come on, sitting here doing it. Come on. It's too easy. It's been a while. Okay. I am rated at 100% temporary for prostate diagnosis. I also have 3 service-connected conditions at 50% and 10%, 10 conditions rated at 10. Okay. All static. Using my VA math equals 96%. Let me do that VA math real quick. So we've got 3 at 50. Let me just do some math here. Other 50. And then, yeah, that looks like it should be in the realm of, yeah, that's 100%. Yeah, that should be total and permanent. You might sometimes, okay, so depending on the circumstances, you might have to invest in a, hey, look, I should be PNT. I'm starting to think the guy on the screen isn't actually Raider. Oh, well, okay. I mean, maybe. Say error in granting PTSD, error first rater granted under mitigating circumstances, second rated under insanity, which I never claim VA is seeking to sever. That's so weird. That's so weird. Do I have to have IBS diagnosed through the VA or documented symptoms? Is IBS commonly diagnosed at CMP? It's better if IB. Okay, so with the changes to the what do you call it? The acute and transitory, IBS is better to be diagnosed now, either through the VA, through private providers. It's better to have a diagnosis because examiners are trying to teach it, trying to use it as a what do you call it? A diagnosis of exclusion, like how you do with chronic fatigue syndrome. So it's better to walk into a CMP with a diagnosis of IBS after you've had some like diagnostic testing to show that it's not due to some other condition. What's up with Raiders granting the condition you're claiming and at the same time denying it? Okay, so this has to do. Okay, so this little faux pas, as they say, is when the VSR or when the rater doesn't have a good process, and what they do is they try to rate the claim before knowing how they're going to rate it. So what they'll do is they'll go, "Oh, I'm going to grant it," and then halfway through it they go, "Oh, I'm going to deny it," and then unless they delete the contention out of VBMS-R and restart it, it'll have both the language for grant and deny in there, and that's why it's just insanity. So now keep in mind the person that's denying you is the examiner. It's not the rater. The rater is just combining and collating all of the evidence and saying, okay, what did the examiner said? Okay, the negative medical opinion, deny. That's what happens. So let me go down here. I'm going to scroll down. JSMC, what you've taught me is that the process can be simple if you understand it, but most don't, and you have to want to educate yourself instead of falling for the clickbait. And that is so true. Like, that is so true. The clickbait out there, because there's a lot of people that identified, and I'm not digging at them or anything like that, but there's a lot of people that identified, wait a minute, I can say whatever I want. I'll get money for doing so because people will watch my stuff and I can just say anything. I can just say anything and they'll give me money. And there's no way to fact check me. And it's terrifying. And the veterans out of desperation just keep clicking and clicking and clicking because they want to be accurately assessed, not knowing that the person that they're watching sometimes doesn't actually know how the process works. It's terrifying. I'm going to try to stay honest and real. I don't need anything. I don't want drama. I had a okay, I already answered that. There's just with the time delay, you guys ask it multiple times, and that's fine. I'll try to. I'm just going to scroll through some of these. IU and TDIU are not the same thing. So you can have okay, there's actually two different types of TDIU, which is kind of weird. There's temporary disability individual unemployability, which is convalescence, right? You get hospitalized for a service-connected condition and they give you 3 months of convalescence. That's temporary individual unemployability type thing. Then there's total disability individual unemployability, which is what people typically call IU. So I'm sorry if that doesn't make any sense. The VA did that on purpose. Filing for disabilities, will they request my mental health records for inpatient stays? Only if you tell them to, or those inpatient stays were at the VA hospitals. If they weren't at VA hospitals, then you have to tell them that you want that information. Da, 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 da. Can a CMP examiner file additional DBQs for things you did not claim originally? Technically, yes. Will they be used? Technically, no, a lot of the times. The current examiner said that the previous examiner took good notes and was surprised they didn't file for my shoulder. Yeah, that's not going to necessarily work. Sometimes you see this happen whenever veterans file within 1 year following their release from active duty, because they'll file the VSRs will file a general medical exam, which means that the examiner gets to pick what DBQs they use. What will happen is if the examiner fills out a DBQ and that examiner gives a positive medical opinion or whatever for it, and you didn't solicit that condition, then what should happen is the authorizer at the end of the process should solicit a claim for benefits. After 2015, the VA can't just plus one unless the conditions are within the scope of the original claim to issue. If that's the case, then yes, we can potentially add on additional disabilities if they're within the scope. But if they're not within the scope, like if they're just like, oh yeah, I'm just out of nowhere, squirrel, like let's talk about your shoulder, they can't do that. I mean, they can fill it out and it'll be nice of them to fill it out, but the VA will have to solicit a claim for it. I hope that helps. That is very true. That is very true. I'm going to be doing the TikTok lives. I'm going to be trying to. Oh yeah, there's so many errors, but the backlog is down. I wonder why. I honestly do. I mean, it's almost like people don't know what they're doing. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, your thoughts on oh gosh, in California got fired because of their VA disability plates. I would sue the dog pants off those people. I would sue everybody. How dare they? What do veteran plates have to do with anything? I mean, in some places, like different states, all you need is a 10% rating to get veteran plates. I mean, it's not a sustainable, that's not a reason to be fired. That's insane. I disagree with that violently. Hey, Raider, big fan of your work. Thank you. Big fan of you. Last year, I was granted service connection for insomnia, claimed as depression, anxiety, sleep disturbances, and rated together with degenerative disc disease. That sucks so bad. If there is one thing I can tell anybody, it is do not actually ever claim insomnia. Never talk about your sleep. This is going to be the worst I am at coaching people. Never, I mean, you can talk about it and just be like, oh yeah, I've got a little bit of sleep. Do not make that the focal point of any discussion, because anytime insomnia is due to another thing, it has to be combined with that other thing. And when it is, all of your mental health basically gets locked away to where you can't get it granted. You can't get any kind of compensation for it. So this is horrible. The only way to fix this is if your mental health was due to, like, if you had insomnia progressed into depression and that depression was caused by your degenerative disc disease, then they could be separately granted. That would be challenging. Neo, whenever in the future, whenever I become an accredited something or another, way in the future, come find me for this one, and we will try to see if we can untangle this, because it will require a lot of untangling and a lot of evidence. And it might not be possible, but if it is possible, I could try to help you. Hello, Raider. I was granted service connection at 0% for presumptive Ryan. Nice. But the CMP did not record my obstruction. The first, and I missed the year refile date. Oh, you don't need a year refile date. You can do a supplemental. I mean, you won't get the... If I would just do an increase on it, to be quite honest with you, because you missed the year mark. I would just do an increase, have some evidence showing the obstruction, the nasal obstruction, and then just do the increase. Oh, sorry. Capri is the program. There's two different programs. There's the first one is CPRS. CPRS is the program that the VHA uses for your medical treatment. Capri is the program that the VBA uses to pull your medical records into your file. It's a program. Sorry, I didn't mean to use acronyms. If ibuprofen is listed as a cause for tinnitus and I have 5+ years with ibuprofen 800 milligrams prescribed for service connection, do I have a good chance? So the problem with this is it's only as good as the examiner's opinion on the topic. Now, this is not something where examiners use a medical diagnostic test in order to say, yes, I agree with this. I believe that this is true. This is a judgment call by them. It is 100% subjective, and either they believe that before you even walked in the door and they're amenable to it, or they're not. So it has as much chance as the examiner that you presented in front of and their belief system on the topic. If it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it's not a good theory. It means that that examiner didn't agree with it. My dad was in the hospital for 30 days and then passed away. Could my mom get any pay from hospital? Ooh, I know she'll get DIC. I don't know if she'll get pay from you mean the hospital time? It depends on if the veteran passed away due to a service-connected condition. If they did, then yes, they could potentially get 30 days of 1 month of convalescence, but it would have to be, they'd have to be admitted for something that was service-connected or have a secondary, have some kind of secondary condition that's related to the primary condition that was the reason for hospitalization. It has to be service-connected. Oh. STR stands for service treatment records. Sorry about that. There's some kind of common knowledge. If I have to... Shh. Shh. You'll find out soon. Shh. Maybe. I'll put it out to you guys. Don't worry. I'm just looking at questions here. Trying to scroll down. I have a question. Should you give every claim in at the, should you submit every claim at the same time, or is it better to do 2 or 3 or 2 or 3 at a later date? So if you're talking about like newer increases, I like 5 disabilities on 1 claim. That's what I kind of like, 5 or 6. When you get more than that, it starts to become a little bit, it starts to detract for the time to points ratio. And you start to get VSRs and raters who are starting to top sheet more the larger the claims are. If they're smaller claims, I just do them all at once. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything. Like supplemental claims don't get worked at the exact same time that like a newer increase claim does. It becomes a little weird. Oh my gosh. Shenanigans. All right, guys. So a congressional review can have a few different like results. It can sometimes cause the it's a top-down approach where the VSO going to the coach or something like that is a bottom-up approach. It can put some pressure on the rater. It can put some pressure on the coach or the VSR, but sometimes pressure is not a good thing. just to be honest with you, it can make them just distracted. But typically they have 48 hours to respond to the congressional liaison about what is going on with the claim. Like, what are we doing with it? Is it are you guys just messing around with it? What's going on? C. Jax. Claim PTSD in 2024, but the VA diagnosed GAD likely due to service. Denial didn't mention GAD at all. Now rated for GAD. Can the effective date go back to 2024? That's gonna have to. You'd need to look at the exam request. There'd have to be a little bit more. Is it possible? Yes, if there's a clear and unmistakable error, potentially. If GAD was something, hold on just a second. Sorry, kids again. Can the effective date go back to 2024? I mean, if there was a clear and unmistakable error, yes. Thank you for the donation, by the way. I want to just do a few of these for CJAX 709. Let me go here. I think I'm on. You did not. Okay, so let me just go here. And then I got one more, limitless bottom. Years ago, approved for a body part, an examiner wrote in file silent, but wrote mentioned in academics before service. Can the VA reopen a clear? You're safe. You're safe. There's no. That has to do with a concept called the presumption of soundness. Now, an examiner cannot rewrite history in that context. They either have to have medical records that show it beforehand, or it has to be present on your exam request in order for, present on your entrance exams in order for there to be a problem. If they were, then there would be a problem. Let me see here. It's got to go. I mean, it's mostly meant for TikTok. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Their attention span on TikTok is about 2 seconds. So if I don't do something like this, then, I'm just testing it out tonight. So I apologize. We'll go back to our regularly scheduled program and maybe just kick this on every once in a while. But who knows? Maybe I'll be a fuzzy panda next time. I filed for anxiety due to a stressor in service and wrote a letter to have them consider it to pain. Denied, and the only covered no STRs and no exam. Higher level review. Yeah, I'd probably do a higher level review on that for a duty to assist error with them not actually applying it correctly. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. We're going on 2 hours. I'm going to have to probably take off here in a few minutes. My family is calling me for the the dinner. So I will, you probably got me for another 6 or 7 minutes. I'm going to just scroll down here to see if I have any more questions that I can get to really quick. Hey, Raider, to follow up what you said, CMP examiners don't like to connect lower extremity secondaries such as knees, secondary to unstable ankles. Medical studies link these. Any advice, please? Best approach. The best approach is medical studies don't apply to you. You have to have medical evidence showing how that is absolutely true for you, right? That there's no off-ramp that they can take. Like, it has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with so-and-so. We have to get to that at least as likely as not. And so the best evidence to approach this with is to look at the usual suspects that the examiner is going to go to and say, oh, I think it's due to his age. I think it's due to their weight. It's due to so-and-so. And make sure that your doctor addresses those and goes, I don't think that his or her so-and-so is, that it's due to age or it's due to the medication. Like, that's the best approach that I can give to kind of try to make it to where it's harder for the examiners to take those easy outs to say no. So that is about it. I'm just looking, still looking. Yeah. Yep, that's the way. That's what we're doing. Look for this guy right here. Look for him at the Military Influencers Conference. You find this guy. You're gonna, yeah. Just be looking for him. Hey Raider, so I was rated 70%. They didn't grant me 100% because they put I was working at my job. I submitted an increase and provided documentation showing my job is at risk. Is that good? I'm going to assume we're talking about mental health. I don't know if that's good or bad that your job is in question. I would say that that is bad. But the 100%, I wouldn't chase that until they make the changes, guys. Like 70% is about the highest you can get for a mood disorder. If you have a personality disorder, which I know that some people are going to disagree with me on this, but I'm looking at more like schizophrenia, schizotypal, bipolar, borderline. I know that those aren't classic. See, whenever I went through my mental health training, those were still personality disorders. So the reason why I believe that they're personality disorders is because you can never be so sad that you get schizophrenia. You can never be so sad that you get bipolar disorder. Those are predisposed conditions. So it's really, really challenging based upon the way the symptoms are right now for mental health to get anything above 70. Stuart, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Yeah, that would be funny. Big lumberjack or grizzly bear. I'll try to figure it out. Get you guys something. There is no fatty liver avatar, and it will be punished. Fatty liver will be punished. And I always appreciate your guys' time. I would like to take some time here for a second and just say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for donating. For those that donate, you don't have to. I mean, it's not a requirement. I honestly am doing this to try to, spread the word. I'm not a millionaire, YouTube millionaire or anything like that. But I do appreciate your time. Like, and I do mean that because there's only so many hours in the day. And when you watch my content, you're choosing to watch my content over somebody else's content typically. And I do appreciate that. Be careful who you're watching though, guys. I mean it. I'm not trying to say that I'm the only game in town because there's a lot of good providers. There's a lot of good YouTubers out there. There's a lot of good people. But yeah, I want to make sure that, hopefully the channel grows. Hopefully you guys like it. I mean, we see results daily that people are, they're reporting that they've had good outcomes, and I love that. Let's go here. If during my first CMP exam they noted that I had bilateral spondylosis, now I have L5S1 mild degenerative disc disease, facet arthropathy, and grade 1 anterior lithicism, can I claim my back now? I mean, that's element 1. You still need element 2, element 3. Oh, wait, what? Did I skip Grace? Hold on. What did Grace? Hold on. I'm going back up. I skipped a lot of stuff. We're going to find you, Grace. Grace, resubmit whatever you said. Grace, say whatever you're going to say. If I missed you, I missed Grace's thing. It says it was on the screen. What did you say, Grace? I didn't skip Grace's membership. I actually said thank you before the live stream started. Yeah, or towards the earlier part. Oh yeah, restless leg syndrome is rateable. Yeah. It's let me figure it out here. I think it falls under 8520, so under the sciatic nerve. But yeah, restless leg syndrome is a neurological condition that can be rated. And I apologize. Okay, element 1 is the current diagnosis. Element 2 is how is it related to service. So for direct service connection, that would be you had to be injured in your service treatment records or something like that for element 2. For element 2, for like secondary, element 2 is whatever the primary condition is. Element 2 for Terra are the chemicals that you were exposed to, and so forth and so on. So element 2 is how is it related to service, because element 3 is the link between element 1 and element 2. And you have to have all 3 of those to be granted for anything. So you have to have, you can have your back condition, but you have to have some kind of in-service event for direct service connection. I don't know how you're claiming it. But if you're claiming it directly, then you'd have to have some kind of treatment in your service treatment records for your back, you know, complaints, something along those lines of back pain or something. And then the medical opinion has to typically do with, you know, depending on how long ago the original injury happened, whether or not you can convince the medical examiner that that original manifestation in the service treatment records is, you know, could have caused a chronic disability, and that chronic disability is the current one that I have now. So that's kind of how that works, is that you have to satisfy all element 1, element 2, and element 3. A Nexus letter is considered element 3. Because Nexus letters are medical opinions by doctors typically. That's why I don't like I don't like the way people describe things, because a Nexus statement is a lay statement by a veteran discussing the lay relationship between element 1 and element 2. A medical opinion is the medical doctor reporting that I believe that A caused B, that element 1 and element 2 are related. Yes, element 2 it can be service treatment records, buddy statements. Yeah. No. So, okay, guys, this is interesting. A DBQ will always satisfy element 1. A medical opinion or medical nexus will always satisfy element 3. Element 2 depends on how you're claiming it and what theories are applied to it. But element 2, oftentimes for like the direct theory, those are your STRs, buddy statements, stuff like that. It has to do with how it's related to service. I've talked about the elements in some of my earlier videos. So this is something that you guys might want to go back to my earlier videos, because I dropped a lot of powerful information. I came out the gate swinging with some of those early videos. Raider HQ is kicking you guys gold right now. I'm trying to, but those are the things, like that's the part where like private companies take credit for things that they don't understand. Like they'll help you submit a claim, but they don't understand oftentimes how element 1 and element 2 and element 3 all have to be satisfied and how best to organize those. Now, shameless plug, whenever I become accredited and I can actually look in VBMS, the hardest thing to actually guess about for claims companies is element 2. Element 2 is always going to be the most challenging thing for them, because they can't see your service treatment records. So they don't know how severe or how, like, what the evidence really says to satisfy element 2. So element 2 is oftentimes the wild card in any kind of claim submission. The veteran doesn't know what's in their service treatment records. The claims companies doesn't, the VSOs do, anybody with VBMS access does, But VSOs typically don't understand the importance of element 2 or how to frame element 2 in a positive light. So this is going to be something that we, most of us never went to medical. I'm one of those people because I had multiple MOSs. One of them was 68 whiskey. So I was a combat medic myself. So I didn't go to medical. But there are sometimes ways around that, to be honest with you. There are specific ways, and it's not something that you can generalize to everybody, but it's definitely, there are ways to potentially get things granted. There are different theories, right? So if you can't grant something directly, sometimes you can grant it as a secondary if the fact pattern matches up. Or MCM's smart. Don't let her shortchange yourself on that one. But is JP5 exposure a TERA? Yes, that is a TERA. TERA means chemical. I was exposed in service to this chemical, and this chemical caused my disability. So in this context, the JP5 would be element 2. That's what's connecting. I was exposed in service to JP5. I now have this disability. That would be element 1. And then you go to a medical doctor or a CMP examiner, and that CMP examiner determines whether or not the JP5, at least as likely as not, caused whatever you're claiming. Let me see here. I don't really feel comfortable with that until accreditation happens. I'll be honest with you. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, look, I was talking with H-Town Vet about this. H-Town Vet was telling me how much money people were making for helping veterans in terms of like trajectory and whatnot. That's a lot of money. I don't want to open a door I can't close again. So I think I'm just going to keep, maybe not, wait until the accreditation hopefully comes through in the future. And then, I'll help everybody at that point in time. I just don't want to do something that I don't feel comfortable with. For the channel, at least, like the Raider persona. I mean, look at this right here. You can't, like, I gotta keep this. Yeah, I gotta keep this credibility right here. This avatar credibility. Do VA medical records carry more weight compared to private records? No, they don't typically. Where that gets blurry is when you get a CMP exam, because under 38 CFR 3.159, competent medical evidence is whenever a CMP examiner collects all the evidence, completes a DBQ, completes a medical opinion. The rater will take the weight of that CMP exam over the private evidence because it's been filtered through that examiner. That examiner has reviewed it and they have determined this is the outcome of my review, my medical review. So yes, they will use VA CMPs over other evidence, and it's not fair and I don't like it, but it's the way it works. Yes, and to be honest with you, this is a good explanation. I have seen people win this argument where they go, look, I was the 68 whiskey. I treated myself. This is how I treated myself. And I continued to treat myself because I was medically trained for it. I have personally won this theory without going to sick call. Yeah, and the VA does have a long memory. And this is true. Like, I don't want to get into any hot water with anybody. So I know that it seems like, oh my gosh, this would be so easy, just have him do it. But once I get VBMS access, guys, once I get the accreditation, get VBMS access, I will say not nice things about claims companies and whatnot, because I will be able to rock the Casbah. I mean, you don't understand. Like, MCM knows. MCM, can you imagine me with VBMS access to a veteran's claim helping them submit it? Could you imagine that? Just take a second and comment on that, of what you think that would look like, because that would, like, you think I'd cook now with just giving out generalized information. If I would had access to your stuff in VBMS, it would be amazing. Like, it would be crazy, because I could use the rules. You know how, like, lawyers do in the Board of Veterans Appeals, and how they win claims based upon that? I would be able, yeah. And I would be, it would be scary, because I could do it quick, and I could, you know, I've won some pretty weird stuff for people historically, like like for myself even. I've won clear and unmistakable errors, and I've won odd things. No, I wouldn't charge you for anything. No. MCM, the more that I can educate you and other VSOs, it just means that more veterans get helped in an accurate way, right? It's not mysticism. It's not any kind of trickery or anything like that. It's just literally knowing how to do the process correctly. So no, I would never charge anybody for that. Yeah. You're not a lowly VSO. You're very good. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm well past my time. So thank you for entertaining my little avatar here. I'm going to be using that on TikTok as soon as I figure out how to engage TikTok. But, oh, and C. Jax, thank you for becoming a member. I definitely appreciate it. We do appreciate our VSOs. The ones that do not resort to complacency, I will say. I do not believe in complacency. Those that want to better themselves and better the veteran, I'm all for it. But just because somebody is a VSO doesn't make them a good person. It doesn't make them a bad person either. Just because somebody's a raider doesn't make them a good person or a bad person, or good at their job or bad at their job. It's what you do with the job when you're there. If you just want to collect the check and just sit on your bum and just do just enough, then, you know, those people are part of the problem, unfortunately. But it will be 20% of back pay is what it'll be. Just for the accredited claims agent thing. So in the future. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for taking your time, spending your time with me and Luna and Zoe, because Zoe is here. She's just sleeping. Professional sleeper, by the way. But thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night. I'll try to do a makeup stream for, I said I was going to do another stream. I'll try to maybe do one tomorrow night or something like that. I don't know. I just like answering questions. But anyway, have a wonderful night. Raider out.